Okay, so to finish my point, like I was saying, after Van Damme kills the kid, the movie kind of meanders again, and then it goes back to this whole thing with the Expendables going to the village, and then they looks like a scene straight out of Jim Carter, and then the movie quickly rushes to the finale. And honestly, the Expendables 2 should have been an action-packed adrenaline rush, and it's not an adrenaline rush. And I think that's partly of why, yeah, it performed good because it had all the stars. But to be honest, it's an okay movie, but it's not a strong action picture. It's not an adrenaline rushing action picture. And a lot of the action in the film is not very diverse. It's just kind of a lot of shooting guns randomly, but the sequences don't really feel individual from one another. You can look at Face Off as a prime example. You look at that film, and each action sequence in that film feels different from one another. It's all the basic same of bad guys shooting at each other, but they're staged differently. They're in different locations. It was meant to feel differently. And Expendables 2 doesn't have enough action, and the action that does happen isn't good enough. So if the producers want to know why it didn't perform well in the States, it's because the God's to honest truth is that both Expendables films do not utilize the talent of their cast. They have guys who've shown in all their movies, they've cut their teeth. They showed previously in the 80s and 90s that they can do these things. And honestly, they're just not giving these guys the platform to perform the talent they can perform. So if Lionsgate is watching and you guys want an honest answer to why Expendables 2 did not perform good or better than you guys hoped in the first one, it's simply because Expendables 2 is an okay movie and it's not an adrenaline pumping, action packed thriller, which is what it should be given that you have all the talent of the cast. So basically, you guys are underutilizing the talent of your cast, and that's all it is. And if you guys want to come up with the whole, well, these guys are older, this, and that, then plain and simple, you shouldn't be using them in the movie then. Period. If your whole idea was to force all these new young people, then just make some soldier movie with all these young guys. Why sell out and use our heroes from back in the day to force upon these new people on us? I just think that's wrong, and that's a cheat to us as the fans. That's really more what's upsetting. So the Expendables 2 not performing better than 1 doesn't have anything to do with it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that people don't want to see rated R action pictures. It's just that you guys just didn't deliver on your promise, which is that we want an action-packed extravaganza, where all these guys are kicking ass. And you guys gave us an okay movie, and it wasn't action-packed, and the action that did happen wasn't that great. You gave us a mediocre fight scene between Van Damme and Stallone. Why would you do that? We've seen movies with lower budgets. I imagine that a film like Double Impact or the original First Blood, and I do have to take into account that Van Damme and Stallone, those guys were in their 30s then, but I'm sure you guys could have came up with something better. To be perfectly honest, I know this is probably an insult, but I think Action Jackson with Carl Weathers, I think the fight scene at the end of Action Jackson between Carl Weathers and Craig T. Nelson from Poltergeist is better than the final fight between Van Damme and Stallone in Expendables 2. And that's not good. So, if you guys are producing action pictures and putting up money for them, I think you guys should really, because I tell you, the one guy who never disappointed with action pictures, and that was Joe Silver. Joe Silver delivered on every action picture he ever made. It was up to the audience member whether they liked those pictures or not. But I guarantee you, Action Jackson, as not well received as that film is, Action Jackson is a better action picture than Expendables 1 or 2. Sorry to say that, but it's true. And Joe Silver, before he kind of got into this Matrix thing and all these other things that he's doing, he knows how to produce an action picture. So maybe there need to be other people brought on to this picture to really create an epic, adrenaline pumping action thriller that takes advantage of the cast that you have in Expendables 3. Because by making it PG-13, you're not taking advantage of the talent. If you take advantage of your talent and use them what they're good for, the fans will come. But if you guys, which you've already done it's already done. Maybe you need to get a person who's producing a picture who actually loves action pictures, because apparently this guy doesn't. I'm not sure if it's, we wanted the original to be PG-13. Well, why don't you go and make a family picture? You're not cut for this. Like anything in life, you need people who really enjoy what they're doing, or whether you really need somebody behind it. Because I tell you, if I was a rich millionaire in Hollywood and I had the money to put up for an $80 million action picture and I had Dolph Lundgren and all these guys, let me tell you, I'm going to do my best to get the best action choreographers of all time. Of course, I'm going to have to be economic. I might have to spend less, but I'm going to get people who love action pictures, who know how to shoot action. They may not cost as much, but I'm going to do the best I can to deliver a solid action picture to the audience. And also so we can make a good investment, as a business person. But I just don't think that making Expendables 3 PG-13, I don't think it's a smart business decision. You guys think it's a smart business decision because you make money, but the reality of it is that neither Expendables movie has delivered on its promise. Kids like myself who grew up in the 80s, we've been waiting to see all these guys come together. And you give us, case in point, the scene in Expendables 2 where Arnold and Bruce and Sly were together, that wasn't an epic scene. It was cool just to see them together, but it was more underwhelming than anything. And also the Expendables movie, the music, the actual soundtrack, we don't have a Michael Kamen anymore because he's passed on, so we're not getting any kind of unique themes or really exciting, adrenaline pumping music. Or even the guy who did Seagal's earlier movies, like Out for Justice and Hard to Kill. Get that guy. You guys just aren't really paying attention to the reality of what it is. And the reality of what it is that neither Expendables movie has fully taken advantage of the talent of all of its cast, and they haven't delivered adrenaline pumping action thrillers. I'm totally surprised that Expendables 2 could cost $100 million, but Double Impact from 1991 could cost far less and have a cinematographer who did a lot of Clint Eastwood's movies and be more badass than you guys. That's sad. Double Impact with Van Damme from 1991 is more badass than a movie that has more money put into it. Guys, pay attention, because I'm not seeing smart business decisions. Maybe just pure off the fact of money, maybe it's a smart decision, but I don't know. Maybe the people who are putting up the money for these are just too out of touch, and maybe they need to just go on over to Disney and make cartoon movies or something. So those are my thoughts. I'm not ranting. I really wanted to talk about this in a serious way. So what we have is a PG-13 action picture with grown men in their 50s and 60s and 40s who cannot act like men act when they're around men. So that's a smart decision to the people who are putting up the money. So go figure. So we're going to get a remake of Basic Instinct, rated PG, for general audiences, and it'll star Justin Bieber, and it'll have Selena Gomez in the Sharon Stone role. And then we'll get a remake of Showgirls, that'll be rated PG, and it'll star one of the Olsen twins. And that's the way Hollywood is going right now. Hey, maybe we'll even get a remake of Last House on the Left. Maybe Disney will buy the rights to Last House on the Left and Hills Have Eyes and make both of those PG. You know, so instead of maybe instead of Hills Have Eyes, they won't be cannibals anymore. I don't know. Maybe they'll be